Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We're doing the daily color. I'm staying in Small Victories today. It is later in the evening because it has been quite the whirlwind day. I will share with you some highlights of my day as I'm coloring. We are on episode 260. I don't remember if I said welcome to the channel and welcome back if you are returning, but welcome. I have Pablos picked out today. What was supposed to be today, I didn't want to do because I had just done them like 2 pages back, and what was the number 2 set for this round 5 random number was Derwent Drawing, which is a 24 set of muted pencils, and so I was going to have a really hard time trying to keep this page the same color palette-ish. So I went ahead and swapped the Caran Pablos, which are the 4th set to be used, and so we have Evazar, that's row 2, I'm just looking through. Derwent Drawing was supposed to be number 3. Pablos is taking the place, and then I am going to want to continue the color palette, and for the whatever silly reason, the pastel tints would be the 4th row. So I'm already going to say that I'm going to take my artistic liberty now that I'm kind of loosening up my rules on my order of pencils used. And I'm going to swap pastel tints for Amazon Basics so that then the dogs over on the other side, they will get to be Derwent Drawing, pastel tints, metallic, and light fast. So that will be kind of, oh, there's only 3 dogs. This is perfect. So the 3 dogs are going to be drawing, pastel tints, and the metallic. So that is absolutely perfect to have the dogs be 3 completely off-book, non-standard pencils. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get to coloring. I'm just grabbing whichever pencils I have nearby me. And again, these are the Pablos, which are a professional pencil, not quite as light fast as some of the others, but I own 5 professional, oh, now I'm going to have to say 6. Holbeins are considered professional. So I've picked 2 colors. Oh, sorry, I don't want beige. That got in the wrong place. 2 grays, because I've got 3 houses, and I want to go back to mimicking the top row. Here, let's show you the top row. Oops, sorry about that. I have actually clipped this. I have clipped this. If you hear little noises, it's because my husband is not ready to nap. We had a very exciting day today, so he is not ready to nap, and I want to get done with coloring because I've had a really quite busy day and I'm ready to rest. So top row is what I want to do. I did blue on this middle row with the orange pumpkin. I'm going back to white with the gray highlights, and then we will see if this last row that has this beautiful key and a jar, I will do this. It even has a pear. So I will do some fun colors to somewhat mimic, although a pear is kind of light yellow-green, to mimic with the 2, this building will be blue, this will be aqua blue, the pear will be like I said, yellow-green, and then the key will be unique, and of course I'm going to have the heart be red. All right, so with that, I need to get to coloring. I am using the clipboard today because I've noticed a struggle with I'm trying really hard to keep the spine flat so that my focus stays even, and I've got my phone lined up with the angle that I am coloring at. I've got my 2 Pablos, and we'll get right into my tale of the day. So steel gray, number 4. Hey, I can read those today with my lighting because it's half dark right now. So gray 005. And I'm just going to do some nice, easy shadows for these, what are supposed to be white houses. So the day began, my parents have been here had been here less than 24 hours. Now they've been here 27 hours. And I wanted them to drive around the community, go to the realty office, grab the current flyer list to see which properties were for sale. And then our particular street has 3 for sale by owners. One is technically not for sale yet. It so far has been their favorite, but the people that are moving can't move yet because they're moving to the country and they're waiting for permitting. And Florida is notoriously slow for permitting for houses, and this is just a mobile. It already had a mobile. They demoed the mobile, and they're waiting for a new septic in a different part of the property. It's some sort of acreage, and I'm not sure how much or how little. So I get a text. I'm supposed to be ready to watch their dog, keeping in mind I am not a dog person. And this dog I have known most of his life. And we just would come home every summer, and he was a free-roaming farm dog that would roam and run around on the full 5 acres. And then he had a partner. She was a boxer, and she has passed on. Her name was Ella. So I've known this dog for many years. He has been adjusting well. He just made an 8-day trip in a car. He doesn't even like cars. He doesn't want to get in a car. But with all of the change in his life, he's been doing really well at this adjustment. And he is 8 years old. So I was going to be there at 9 so that they could drive around. However, I get a text. It says, hey, we've stopped at the house of the people who are waiting to get their permits, and we're talking to them now, so we'll be a little bit late. So I wait, and then I come out there, and here they are walking down the street, stopping and chatting, because our street is a dead end, but everybody likes to go down the street on their bikes, walking the dogs. They go around the cul-de-sac because there's a turn, and then they come back, and they go the other way. So this is a dead end, and there's other streets that are full streets, and then there's other dead ends, and people will go the entire circuit and go through the whole community every day. So my parents were chatting it up with everybody, and they took forever. So they enjoyed meeting the people and talking to the people. They took pictures of 2 other houses that were for sale by owner, that are actually for sale right now. And my mom says, hey, we really want to look at this one. It looks like it will meet our needs. And I said, hey, give them a call. This is for sale by owner. You can call them up. The people called them back immediately. And next thing you know, I'm babysitting the dog for first they did their drive. That was an hour. Then they made the phone call. And then I had 15 minutes to go grab lunch, or breakfast, actually. I hadn't eaten anything. Hub was eating a hamburger and tater tots, and he gave me half of his tater tots to tide me over. I'm going to go to the blues now. I'm doing something a little different. The blues are going to be blue flower, blue flowers, blue flowers, blue flowers. So all 4 flowers get to be blue, so that's kind of cool. So they're gone to look at this house. I actually walked the dog down the street with them because I am actually plant sitting for a person down the street who lives diagonal and across the street from this house. So the dog and we hang out. I water the plants. He's really good. He keeps looking. He's a very smart dog. And keep in mind, I had already entertained him for an hour. And in that hour, knowing he had just traveled across the U.S. 3,000 miles and had not been separated from his owners at all for any length of time, he was a little anxious, even though he knows me and has known me his whole life. So I was trying my best to entertain him, being not a dog person that I am. So we kept busy the first hour, and so I kept him out at that house for a while. I actually jogged to give him some running time, because remember, he's used to running free. So I jogged down to the house, and on the way back, he looked at the house, the golf cart, because when we walked and jogged down here, they were right behind us. So he knew they were with us, and he knew where they went. So he looked, but he came with me. He did really good, as good as a dog can be. And I kept him out, and we went around. There's a street, it's like almost a T across from us that doesn't have any houses, and it's where people take their dogs. There's even like doggy poop bags there. So we went all the way over to that street so that he could do some business there. And then back in the house we went, and I entertained him and fed him a couple of treats and made him do his little doggy tricks. You know, he can sit, lay down, shake hands, that kind of thing. So when they came home, I was surprised. They said it meets their needs and they really like it. I said, well, then you're going to have to go look at this other place. And depending on how, so they have two choices now, which is very exciting. And the place that they looked at yesterday is ready to sell. The people already have another home, and they really would like to offload it sooner than later, which is great news. So that was the exciting morning. Then the vehicles that they had shipped, because they had too many vehicles to drive, and they only drove like the daily driver. The other vehicles are project vehicles. So we got to go deal with that, and that was an adventure in itself. As one doesn't even run, one doesn't have brakes that work, it has an emergency brake, and that's it. And then the other one does run. And we had to meet the truck driver, who is an 80-foot long truck, and he would not try to back into the facility. So he parked on the street, all of the vehicles got offloaded, and we had to, in the Florida heat, which was not terrible at all, we had to maneuver them all three back to the back, which of course the buildings we were in were the backmost buildings. So we achieved that. The one vehicle that is partially finished does not have power steering, and the area where we had to turn the car was very narrow, had a grassy culvert with water in the bottom of it. Definitely not the thing you wanted to have happen. And so we all did good and got it turned. And my stepdad was able to control the e-brake. He was in the car turning it. Oh, what an adventure that was. And we decided not to run it. It was running kind of rough. And so he just said, hey, can you guys push it? So that's what we did. And then the third vehicle was in front of it, and we got everything put away snug in the storage units. And he says, I'm going to be paying a tow truck to tow the two non-running ones. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. He just doesn't trust. He's like, I could get the brakes working here, but it's like a 20-minute drive. So I think it would be best if he just does the work at home in the community for his maiden voyage. So that was a huge accomplishment and weight off everyone's shoulders. Now all that we have left are the furniture and everything. Our stuff, which is mostly my crafting supplies, kitchen supplies, and some Hub actually ended up having room in one of the pods for some of his outdoorsy man cave stuff for the garage. Whew. So I was very glad to come home, have some food, a nice hot meal, and now Hub is at the computer playing his game, and I'm coloring. I will join him in the game as soon as I finish this. He likes me to finish coloring much earlier in the day, but this is the first break I have had. I don't know if I showed you the blues. Let's show you the blues. These are lovely pencils to work with. I think I've said it before, they are not silky. They are not creamy. They are pretty dry. Pretty dry. Nice to work with. So we've got Sky Blue 141 and Night Blue 149. I made the swatches for these years ago. It was one of my very early swatching with the holes, and I never punched the holes. So while I was waiting for dinner, I went ahead and punched out all the holes, which is lovely. And I've had these swatches a long enough time that they actually, I will show you, oops. I can actually change the angle here. They are stained. Look at, I wrote very tidy. This is like, I wrote very slow, used a narrow, like a 0.3. I believe this is my 0.3 Copic multiliner. Here's some sort of a coffee-ish stain. And another set of stains. But boy, did I spend a lot of time with my handwriting on this. This is probably my nicest handwriting. I can see I changed to a different pen here. That's very black, and that is almost gray black. So I'm very proud of these. One of my very first attempts at using this swatch style for pencils. And I think this is probably my third set of pencils I ever bought. Fourth set, if you consider the Albrecht Dürer watercolor ones, which were the very first professional ones. These are number 4. All right, back to coloring. I'm going to leave these just light blue. I mean, I could put a little color in the center. I'm not using orange today. I actually don't think I picked a special color for this set. Unless you consider 5 browns instead of 4 browns special colors. So tomorrow afternoon, I will know if my parents want to negotiate something with the people. Both of these deals would be for sale by owner deals, not listing them with realtors. So we will see how that all shakes out. See how I did the first layer and now it's already burnished. These burnish pretty quickly. They do actually also, because of their dry nature, they layer very nicely on a material called pastel matte. So there's a white and an ivory in this line that you can use and do lines like animal fur and whiskers over the top of dark colors. It's like magic how these work on this pastel matte material. All right, so now I'm switching to red, and like the other rows, you can see a teeny bit of this red door. All 3 doors will be red. The colors are a little bit darker, I noticed, than the colors used above. I have picked Indian red and dark carmine. And the barrels, I would say, this is the dark carmine, and I would say that the barrel on this is quite dark. But this Indian red, I think, is close. So you do have to watch the barrel colors and use your swatches with this particular set. They have light fast ratings. I have not done my own light fast testing, so I will say in March I decided, mainly Hub was giving me a really bad time. He's like, you know, you do a lot of swatching and you now have a lot of pencils, and I don't see you actually using your pencils a lot. So it was actually Hub who inadvertently convinced me that I should be coloring. I have all these beautiful pencils. I can't really do animal portraits all the time because they are so time consuming and hard on my back that I needed to see if I could actually use pencil color, any kind of coloring, for relaxation. And it did mean that my light fast testing I was going to do, which really needs to be done before September, We now officially are into October, and the sun is no longer in the front window of the door. We have four glass panels. So see, this is darker. If I show you, that is a brighter red, and I had scarlet red that I could have used, but it almost was a little too orange. So I opted for this color instead. So we have no light fast testing. What I was thinking of doing for next season, I will be fully integrated into coloring, doing the daily series. And it will maybe have morphed into me rotating through, you know, I will at some point here finish this book. And it is my intention after finishing this book to still have like a small type book that I work on that's just simple and quick. And then I will have a couple of big books to rotate through. That's kind of how I envision it happening. And I may or may not color 6 days a week. I might have to knock it back a little bit. It is wearing on Hub that I color 6 days a week. It isn't long, but there is prep involved. I'm switching to greens. So the prep, it really is more like 3 hours a day, every day, except Sunday. All right, so the lightest green is yellow green 230, grass green 220, dark green 229. So it's possible that I will adopt a little bit different schedule, and I might color one day in a book, have 4 books, which leaves me a weekly review, and then one other day a week that I can do reporting on things, special techniques, a haul video, and I will, so that I can get down to only 4 videos, listen to me, 1 video a day. The other thing I have not been doing, hardly at all, is filming any of these daily colors. Maybe here and there, if I know I'm like going to do something, I will do more than 1 episode in a day, but I don't like to do that. I try to do it just 1 a day. And then if I'm going to do some special thing like a haul, that will be a separate video. Anyhow, so these are what we're starting to look like. We've got the greens. This is the dark green. It is called dark green, right? Yeah, dark green. I could go darker, but I'm okay. I noticed that if you look at the rows above, they're all very bright greens. So that's what I stuck with, was the more vibrant greens. I really like these little images, and like this image here is on one of the other pages. There's a boat. Again, I'm clipped, so here I am trying to talk about a boat. There's the boat. That's on a different page. So these images are on other pages in this book. So if you're saying to yourself, that looks really familiar, that's because it is familiar. I can tell I'm tired because I got really quiet. I was not anticipating them actually just jumping right into looking at houses like they did. I'm kind of excited about that. So they literally just arrived and haven't even taken a day to chillax. I believe it's like one of the first times in their lives for both of them that they have quote unquote been homeless, like not owned a home for most of their lives. Pretty crazy. It's actually a really, for me, it was a very freeing feeling. They did not feel that way at all. They're like, they would have preferred to have already had a home in under contract here. But it just doesn't work that way here. You have to have cash. And they needed to have their house sold before they even entertained trying to buy something. And then, of course, they were 3,000 miles away. And I really didn't want to try to be negotiating for a house they hadn't even physically seen in real life themselves. And I'm so glad they agreed. I just think there's too much room for error. And a home is not something you want to make a mistake in buying, because the selling part is where all the expense comes. And they're not experienced enough, and aren't they? You know, they've lived in 2 homes together, 3 homes, since they've been married, and so they've not experienced real estate to the degree that they would be comfortable with buying and selling on their own. They even had the whole sticker shock. They did not know how expensive it is to sell a home, especially in Washington State. The fees are way higher than here in Florida. I'm going to leave that little path empty. We're moving here to the middle green. Middle green is grass green, and then I did some light green on that one. When I talk, I kind of do random colors. That's yellow green. Yeah, these, on this paper, these burnish as well as the colors. You just can do, like, I'm only using medium pressure, and second layer, it is done. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Nice and solid, tooth filled up. I would wonder, and maybe I'll have to kind of make notes as I get deeper into the book with all of these sets. I would like to know if on a larger space, can I do a lot of layers and incorporate a layering effect of multiple colors, not blended colors, just multiple colors. Or after, and this is like maybe 5 or 6 layers, because this burnishes so fast, like the colors, I'm not sure how well it would do in that scenario, because I've been doing these small images with them. Someday I'm gonna have to start keeping little notes in my Excel spreadsheet. I discovered an even easier way to do a random number and eliminate duplicates. I am thinking someday that I will share with people some of the Excel secrets that, depending on in your coloring journey, if you own a lot of supplies and you want to see that you use them all, you might be interested in letting Excel, or Google Sheets has practically the same capability. You might have to do some research on it. And so setting up my printouts for my index sheets, I've already shared with you my blank swatch sheets, which are pretty unique. They're different than the standard ones that people do. I really love the holes, 3-punch or the punch holes are important to me. I'm going to the lightest green now just to fill in. There's some tooth, a little bit of tooth here. And this light green should fill it all in. You'll notice I did sharpen my pencils somewhat, and so I'm not needing to spend time sharpening them. I need blue here. So being able to have a nice automated way to rotate through your supplies, if you don't want to struggle and make choices, you just want to I want to pick some stuff and go. It's kind of fun to do that. I am liking everything clipped down. This is the most clipped I've been. And it's funny because I guess I move my images around to show you the other rows, and it wasn't apparent to me that I did it that much. So here I am, finally have the book clipped in place so that it doesn't slide around. And now I want to show you different rows. Of course. All right. I have a few yellow bits, not a lot, and browns. I think we're on to the browns. Sorry about that. I keep hitting. Yellow for some lights, minimal. So this little window is going to be lit. I have no yellow here. These are going to be brown, like an echinacea. The doorknobs will be teeny tiny dots of gold. So now I'm rotating. I've done my 2 bits of yellow. Here are my 4 browns, from light to dark, somewhat like the Brutfuners, where it's kind of like 3 of these are somewhat equal, just different hues. Okay, let's see if I can read that. Ochre, 35. Brown ochre, 37. Brown, 59. Whew, that is a burnt sepia, I believe. And you know what? If I'm looking at the color of the tips, I believe that the brown is darker than burnt sepia. The burnt sepia is slightly russet orange color. So that's going to be my pseudo gold, because remember the very top inspiration was this teapot that I'm not going to try to show you because it's in the upper left. And the teapot is a silverish teapot using grays and then gold accents and gold handle and lid using browns like this. But the spaces that these images are going to need are very small, so I won't have to use a lot. And these are rocks. I'm going to let them be brown because I can. So, how are we doing for time? 34 minutes. I am making good time. I'm just grabbing these browns at random, not being very scientific about it. And I see that I have highlights on that side, this highlights on this side. Oh, all 3 doors, look at me. I consistently made my highlights on the same side. It's a miracle. That would mean that this side of the roof line is going to be a little more darker. Same with the door frame and the stones. So let me grab, I'm now on the third color. I haven't even, the mushrooms are going to be brown on the natural scene. Little tiny chimney. So hard to get into these teeny lines. I am using little teeny tiny curves. You can see me drawing curves because I want my stones to look rounded. I hope that is what I have achieved there. Now I'm going to work on the 3 mushrooms. This is the third darkest color. I might go ahead and go to the darkest, which I decided was brown. Adding in the darkest shadow here. I did pull one special color. I pulled out beige for the tops and the stems of the mushrooms. I'll show you that color. It's very soft. Oh, and I was going to do the beige on the roof because we've decided on this image that I think this image is on the inside of the front cover, and I was like, I don't know what that's supposed to be. But yet plants are growing out of the roof, so I decided this was dirt. Which means the roof gets to be beige. All right, so now I'm going to the more russety color. See, these are almost the same intensity of color, just different tones or hues. I don't think these need any more. I'm making this kind of fluffy dirt using my ovals. Now we're going to go for lighter tones. I am moving on to brown ochre, and then the lightest is ochre. I'm making the mushrooms, since the doors on the right side on all 3 have the highlight, I am making the mushrooms on the right side also highlighted. The lightest color is ochre. Oh, hey, and I forgot. I'm going to go with this middle tone, brown ochre, for these somewhat echinacea shaped cone flowers that I have decided. Oh, and look at me, I'm doing the shadow on the wrong side, or the shadow is supposed to be on the left. I might zip my eraser a little bit, the electric, on the right side of those 2. Yeah, this burnishes super fast, feels in the tooth. I don't know what it is about these. They're somewhat dry. It just goes right down into the tooth, doesn't it? That is pretty amazing. It makes them very quick to color with. I have little whites left on the ends of my flowers there, and I like that. I'm going to the beige now. The beige, and then, believe it or not, at 39 minutes, I will be done at probably 41 minutes. Here is the beige. This is one of the really good colors in this set. Very nice animal fur light tones. And see how warm it is next to the gray? I just really like this color a lot. There are a lot of sets of pencils that are the 120 set, and they do not have a beige. So I have a few, those can be green, 3 little balls, and I have 3 little doorknobs, and those will probably be metallic. The only thing I see glaringly missing are these little flower buds, need to be blue. I mean, I could, oh, and I forgot to do one, the beige on the mushrooms looks kind of like an ice cream cone top or a sundae with topping. All right. We have one more day this week to get the big. I did the brick. I have to come up with just some other coloring to do. It'll either be, tomorrow's Friday, so it'll either be Friday or Saturday. I have not needed to miss coloring yet. I told you that depending on how the schedule goes, if things get really hectic, I might need to skip a day, but today probably would have been that day. So I think I'll probably be set to color the rest of the week per normal. And I am finished. To me, this looks like a very blue. I won't share it with the other rows. We will do the reveal on Sunday. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And we will do this all again tomorrow. See you then.